How high can you count? Have you ever counted to a gazillion or a bajillion? Let's talk about that. Hey kids and people of faith, it's Pastor Chad. We've been learning about counting and numbers to learn Bible lessons, Bible stories, Bible doctrine about God, about Jesus, and the world. So yeah, I have used the word gazillion, jillion, bajillion. Have you? When I wanted to use a word that counted something that was so numerous, that was such a bunch of something, sometimes I use words like that because I simply can't count that high. Like the other day, I was walking outside and I saw a gazillion ants in a big ant pile. In the Bible, God uses pictures and a special word, myriads, to show big numbers. And so we're going to look at that, and we're going to turn to the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 10, where we read about God's throne in heaven, and it says, 1,000 thousands served him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. That's one translation of the Bible. And another one says, thousands upon thousands were serving him. And here's that special word. And myriads upon myriads were standing before him. It also says in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 22, it says, but you have come to Mount Zion and to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem. And then one translation says, to innumerable angels. You can't even count them. And then another says, myriads of angels. So you heard that special word again, myriads. It comes from a Greek word, myrias, which actually means 10,000. So myriads upon myriads is literally 10,000 times 10,000. And that's such a huge, big number. But the verse that really shows us about big numbers is in Revelation 5:11. And it says, then I looked and I heard around the throne and the living creatures and the elders the voice of many angels, numbering, here it is, myriads of myriads and thousands of thousands. It's like the Bible saying that God has a bajillion angels worshiping him. At night, when I look up into the sky and I see the stars, I think about big numbers. There are so many stars. But did you know that the Bible actually talks about this? It says in Genesis 15:5 that God took Abram outside, and God said to Abram, look at the sky. There are so many stars that you cannot count them, and your descendants will be too many to count. God has myriads, 10,000 times 10,000, countless numbers of people, worshipers in heaven, too many to count. Will you be counted among those worshipers? Will you be part of that great number in heaven? You can be and will be if you put your faith in Jesus for the forgiveness of your sins. And I'll see you next time.
So kids, as we have now come to the end of this series, let us once again ponder the fact that God is a God of order. From the designs in nature that follows the Fibonacci sequence, to physics, to the mysteries of the number 9 and all the other disciplines of science. God is omnipotent. We can see God's divine order laid out before us. Nothing is fortuitous, but rather declared by God's sovereign decree. Christ is the creator of everything. He is without equal, he is the King of kings and the Lord of lords without limitation in every way. He is outside of time and his creation. He is infinite. He had no beginning and he has no end. He is the ruler of everything. Colossians 1:16-18 says, "For by him all things were created in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities, all things were created through him and for him. And he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in everything he might be preeminent." So in retrospect, numbers and their application within mathematics proclaims the glory of a faithful God which holds all things together.